Life in Plastic sounds fantastic. And yes, I'm seeing the Barbie movie tonight. Andre Cordova.
I'm Barbie with a brain. Cristina Casanovi.
And welcome to Sabotage. Welcome, Cristina.
Thank you so much, Andre.
Yeah, looking beautiful.
I appreciate it.
Which makes sense because the subject today is modeling. So, I'm curious. When did you start?
Well, first of all, thank you again for having me today.
You're
It's
welcome.
actually my first podcast, so it's absolutely and very honor for me to be sharing this moment with you. I started modeling when 2017. I was here in Sydney and I got my first job out of Air Tasker.
Oh, you got your first job off Air Tasker.
Yes. And this is how random things sometimes happen in life.
Yeah.
I was looking for actually an hospitality job in Air Tasker because of what I was doing. And when I was browsing down the jobs, I found modeling $50 for 2 hours. And I'm like, $25 an hour, it's a big one. The two girls that I worked in that job, they were absolutely lovely. They pumped up so much my confidence.
Like a very interesting start. I'm drinking a vodka cruiser because I fucking felt like it today. But also because Cristina doesn't drink. So I wasn't going to bring like a whole bottle of wine for myself, as we'd usually
I
share
do
on the
drink
podcast.
green tea. It's still a drink.
Yeah, just not alcoholic. So, Miss Grand Australia
Yes.
finalist.
Yes.
Did you win that? Has that happened?
Very, very recently.
Yeah.
So how random was my first job in modeling?
Yeah.
How random was my first pageant? And Miss Grand has been my first pageant.
Yeah.
Part of life is I love connecting with people. And so I was in this network event and I bumped into Mrs. Australia. That is a beauty competition for girls, women above 28. And I'm like, okay, so I'm 29 this year. I'm like 30 this year, so I'm currently 29. Means that I'm not too old to do a pageant competition. So I'm start to browse around what was an option for me.
Right.
And I saw the Miss Grand Australia was closing the door at 29. But if you're still 29, you can apply.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, that's the competition I had to go this year because that's the last year.
Yeah.
It's the last year. And funny enough, I never wanted to apply for a pageant because I felt that I was not beautiful enough. And I never wanted to be judged for my beauty. But also one of my highest fear is the fear of being judged.
Yeah.
So putting myself...
That's so... Yeah, you're definitely stepping outside your comfort zone.
Big time.
For something like a pageant.
Yes.
And being judged. And also, just by the way, absurd thinking. Because she's absolutely beautiful. But I digress. So continue your story.
Yeah, I think I'm a beautiful woman. But at the same time, being for so many years in the beauty industry, like modeling, we actually get constantly reminded that we are not good for something. Because we go through casting and we are not chosen for something that sometimes is not because of us. Sometimes it's just because we don't fit with what the producer is looking for.
Yeah.
But we don't know the real reason. So we think that we are not good enough.
Yeah, and it can be very easy to internalize that rejection, which is essentially what that is, or what it feels like at least. And I totally relate. There have been so many occasions where things like auditions for whatever kind of show, I've actually done a few auditions for musicals before, and I got pretty far in the process. But things like that, where if it doesn't pan out because someone else just fit that brief slightly better than you did, it can be very easy to take that on board and have it influence your self-esteem and the way that you view.
Yeah, and if you think about it, it's very silly because even if we know that we may not fit perfectly for a role that we're applying, but we still feel like it's on us instead of just what I'm doing now is I'm training models and I'm teaching them and I constantly tell them about mindset.
Yeah.
And part of the mindset is whenever we are in a casting or we are on a photo shooting or we are on an extra commercial set, we have to pretend to be a character.
Right.
So when you go in a casting, put your mask confident on, then that's your character.
That's so clever.
When you step out of the casting, doesn't matter what's the outcome of the casting because whoever the person's been judged is not you, it's your character.
Yeah. That's a really, really clever way to go about it. I think that's super interesting because I've had a similar thought in regards to confidence, because confidence is key. You can get away with a lot
100%.
simply through being confident.
We know that.
Yeah. So the way that I saw it though, just personally, was like, you don't need to feel confident yourself necessarily. They just need to believe that you're confident.
Yes.
They need to perceive you that way.
And it's something that helped me even like for Miss Grand Australia. So I didn't know what to expect. And I actually applied 2 days before the closing time.
Wow.
And I got selected out of...
Cutting it close, go.
Yeah. It's like, oh, actually it's closing tomorrow. It's better if I upload my photos there.
Yeah.
And I got selected and chosen. They had over 100 applications for this year.
Wow.
So
how many do they accept?
30.
30.
Yeah. So, and...
Well done.
Thank you. And also, like, when I started to mingle with the girls in the final week of Miss Grand Australia, that we were all together in Melbourne, I actually realized I was just one of the few that didn't have any pageant experience. And the other two people that didn't have any experience with pageant, they were coming from other beauty, like photography, kind
Backgrounds.
of like competition.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was putting so much pressure before going to Melbourne and say, oh my God, I'm sure I forgot something. I'm sure I'm going to fall off from my heels. We all put some very interesting, weird voice in our brain.
I'm going to fall flat on my face.
Yeah, it's kind of like, where everyone is going to laugh at me, my gown is going to tear apart, all these kind of things, you think about it.
Everyone's going to see my tatas, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever. But then you actually realize that it's not so scary because you can still put your mask on. You can still put the persona, the confidence that, doesn't really give a fuck about what people think.
Yeah.
And you just go and rock. And I am extremely proud of myself that I was able to walk on stage in bikini and do whatever turns they asked me to do. And I was kind of confident. And I almost fall off the hill, but I was laughing because I was confident. I was enjoying, actually, and grateful for the opportunity that would be there on stage.
And the experience,
And yes.
It's fascinating. I think it also brings to light the fact that there is so much more to things like pageants that people typically consider.
Yes.
Because I think it's very easy to make fun of women who model and do pageants and things, because there's always been this societal sort of like gender norm of, oh, there must be total bimbos then. But you've got a group of intelligent women who have the balls, the cojones, to get up on stage and literally be critiqued.
Yes.
That takes so much guts.
100%. There are some people that unfortunately they're so judgmental and they say, oh, how this girl can just be so comfortable in her body and just walk on heels in bikini. And I'm like, you should appreciate it, that despite she's not the typical body that everyone think about what a model is, she's embracing her curves, she's embracing her heights, and I love that. And there was like so many different backgrounds in Miss Grand Australia, and I loved to mingle and met these beautiful women.
Yeah. So was there like more diversity with
Yes.
body types this time around?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because again, typically I think what people might picture with things like modeling and pageants is the stock standard, Eurocentric beauty where you have to be skinny and like not eat anything, and a lot of the time, blonde hair, blue eyes,
Yes.
type of Miss Congeniality-esque vibes. But like that sounds wonderful.
And it's so beautiful because Australia, if we think about it, there are some immigrants and, so I am an immigrant. But also like people from the islands, for people from New Zealand, like Fiji.
Yeah.
There are so many beautiful features. And there was like a Tongan girl, absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And like I'm so fascinated about their hair. Like they're gorgeous. They're so strong and long and shiny. And like, everyone has something beautiful. Too often we put in our brain voice that are not real. But for a lot of reason, we find a lot of reason to stop ourselves.
To not do something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I always say, just go, just try, take action. And if you fuck it up, whatever, just have fun.
You've
make
only
a
got
laugh.
one life.
Yes.
Go, like you've got one life. Use it. Do something with it.
Do something that makes you happy.
Yeah.
But find yourself an environment, surrounding yourself with people that makes you feel good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's something that it took me a long time to find the right people. I think it can be very natural to give up hope when you're struggling to find your people
100%.
and those who genuinely want what's best for you and support you. Because I don't know if you would have experienced this within your industry, but certainly in the music industry, tall poppy syndrome
Oh, big time. Yes.
is a massive thing where, for those who don't know, it can generally apply to like all over the world, but tall poppy syndrome in Australia specifically is when this ideology of like you have someone who excels above the rest, so our society will cut them down because they simply don't approve. It's very toxic and really sad that our culture, like Australia, has a habit of just bringing people down for being different.
Instead of to cheer them and to support
Instead
them.
of supporting them
and to make them grow
and
even
lifting
more.
them up. Yeah. So that's like definitely something I've experienced like my entire life. Because as soon as people see you've got talent, if they're not actively trying to bring you down, then they're simply watching from the sidelines. Yeah. They're not actively like participating either way to support or not.
I would prefer that.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately people watch us all the time.
Yeah, they're waiting to see if you succeed or not, because then they can come in like, oh my god, like bestie.
Or the opposite. I say, oh, you're just lucky.
Yeah, you just got lucky. They want to diminish your success and invalidate it.
Yes. And sometimes, you know, it can happen with family as well. I have a brother that is 10 years older. Yeah. And every time that I do something, oh, but you're lucky, you're beautiful. I was like, well, I come from the same parents. But I just look after myself. I nourish my body with food that I know is good for me.
Yeah, it takes effort.
Of course, I still eat my fried stuff. Of course, I still eat my sugar. But I try to balance. And first of all, I change my surrounding. I change the people I was hanging out with. Yeah. And then, thanks to them, I start to put a lot of more self-worth and self-love for myself. And then, of course, it shows. Yeah. Of course, it shows how you interact with people. Of course, it shows also with opportunities that come on your way. Because even like in the modeling industry, if you're super skinny, if you don't have energy because you are in this strict diet, that's probably not healthy for you, but you are so, focused and convinced it actually works for you, but you don't have the vitality and energy to actually go through a 6-hour shooting and interact with photographer, interact with the people in the photo shooting, probably people that are not going to call you. Yeah. But if you start to build fiber connection with the people on the shootings, you may get another job with them or opportunities along the way.
Yeah. They're like, this girl didn't pass out.
Yeah.
We won her on our team. Yeah.
Yes. Or you just want to make like a very friendly environment. Like at the end of the day, we are all human beings. Yeah. And we all have different skills. Yeah. We just have to find the people that have complementary skills, put them together and create something magic. Without being envious, without being jealous, but more like, hey, what can I do to be the trampoline for your success? Exactly. And this is what society should be.
It's important for people to know that you don't have to have your parents on board with things. Like sometimes family can be toxic because at the end of the day, they're just people. They're people that you got born into being surrounded by, and that doesn't automatically make them good. It doesn't make them educated on what it is that you want to pursue. And it can be very easy for them to be like a negative source of whatever in your life that isn't conducive to what you're trying to achieve. It's totally okay to rebel, because I sure as shit did. Like my parents were not supportive about me pursuing music at all. And you know what though? I don't give a fuck because I'm good at it. So it's like, whatever then. Yeah. And you do find friends who become your family. People just that you come across in your life who want the best for you and clearly show that.
But sorry if I'm correct you or, I'm saying something. It's like parents are good, but they're good in whatever in their circumstances. It's
Yeah,
like they're
exactly.
doing their best.
That's
They
why-
cannot just be good for us.
Yeah, that's why I did say, like, sometimes they're simply not educated
Yes.
enough on
Yes.
what it is that you're trying to pursue,
100%.
which is totally what happened with my parents to some degree. Like, my mum was always just confused about the notion of, like, music being a career.
Yeah.
It's very easy for people of color, like colored families, to have parents where they're just like, you know, we want you to have a steady income and this is our idea of that.
Yes.
But the reality is they've migrated to a country where there are more opportunities. They're simply unaware of them.
Yes.
It's kind of ironic because it's like, that's the reason they came here. But then you present them with like, oh, this is something else I can do just to make money because it makes me happy, whatever. But then it becomes a challenge to kind of help them understand. So I did have a very particular experience. I did grow up abused. So it's very easy for me to rebel. And I know that a lot of people find it difficult to stand up to their parents. So I think just whatever works for you, and critical thinking matters, like take all that into consideration. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's also like you can set up boundaries with your parents. Like it's a must to set up boundaries with everyone, but
Yeah.
especially with people that are not on board with what you want to do in life.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just because they're not exposed to that way of thinking of entrepreneur like us. And I totally relate. Like my parents, I grew up in a very humble family in a rural area of Tuscany. So my parents, like their dream for me here in Australia is to go to work for the government. Yeah.
Mine wanted me to be a fucking doctor.
I mean, at least you saved
Like,
life. Me, I work for the government, okay? So, you know.
Yeah, the government, that's really weird actually, because that's, okay.
Yeah, that's like the idea, but and then more I start to do personal development, more I start to understand my parents and my mom, because my mom is pretty much like the boss in my family.
Right.
And that's her way to show me love, because if she can keep me safe,
Yeah.
that's her ultimate
Her
goal.
job done. Yeah.
And when I grew up extremely introverted and extremely like not even capable to speak up, or just I got bullied when I was at school.
Yeah.
For the same reason that my mom wanted to keep me safe. So she never actually did teach me the tools to speak up,
Yeah.
to know what is my value. I look back and I was like, that's very fucked up upbringing.
Yeah.
But thanks to this fucked up upbringing, I can connect more with the people that I'm trying to help in the modeling industry.
Yeah.
So in life, everything that we go through, there's always a reason. Maybe we don't understand the reason when we leave, and we definitely we don't enjoy the moment.
Or at the very least, we can find a way to spin it into something positive.
Yes.
So I am a strong believer in the fact that like a lot of abhorrent things that you may grow up experiencing, you never deserve to go through that. And that straight up should not happen. However, you can make it work for you rather than ending up in this spiral of like, self like disdain and sabotage. Exactly. Sabotage.
Yes. But, you know, I don't remember who I was listening to, but there are a public speaker that say that we should consider every day a new beginning.
Right.
And just bring it on board what the things that serve to us.
Yes.
So we are 100% able and capable and responsible to make the best of our life. Yeah. And so it doesn't matter what happened in our past. We have all the tools to change to the better, to a greater future, something that makes us excited.
Yeah.
So it just really matter of action, matter of try different things. Always like checking with yourself, is this makes me happy? Is this person bring me energy or just deprive me of energy?
Yeah.
Because that's another big one, right?
Yeah, and that's how you figure out like who's worth investing time in.
Yes.
And that does apply to family as well. Like with your brother, it saddens me to hear that he's not supportive of you, because there's like no reason for that. He's just being kind of a dick.
Sorry,
bro. Yeah, I'm just calling it like it is, okay? But, you know, the reality is like you can just turn around and say, okay, like I'm just not going to talk to you then.
Yes.
Like it's...
And the sad part is, of course, I love my brother.
Yeah, you do.
And it's such a, like, I'm sad because he's not taking charge of his life. And I try like in the past year to send in videos of public speaking, explain about, motivational stuff for life.
Yeah.
I never watch it. And then I started like, you cannot help someone that doesn't want to
Be helped.
Yeah, be helped.
Yeah.
So it's like I accept him as it is,
Yeah.
and I just love him as it is.
Yeah.
And I'm here if he wants to talk. Otherwise, he does his life. I do my life, and same with parents.
Yeah. You'll save a lot of heartache from not trying to change someone into who you want them to be, because if they want to do it, they'll do it. If they want to be supportive, they'll support you. And sometimes it does just take time to grow into that, because a lot of people, like on the average, have so much self-work to do that obviously has not been done. But yeah, I think, like you said, boundaries are important, and they should not be limited to a stranger. It should apply to anyone in your life. I am glad though that you sound like you've got it together and you've got people around you who do support you.
It took time.
Yeah.
It took a lot of failures.
Yeah.
It took a lot of time, a long time, like learning time. Because I reached a stage where only my ex-boyfriend, that it was already my ex-boyfriend, he was my only friend. It was the only person I could trust. And it's not, you can probably imagine, it's not very healthy.
Yeah.
It
could be better.
It could be better, yes.
Yeah.
And despite, with my ex, we still have good friends now, but it's not like it's my only friend.
Yeah.
I have an amazing, group of friends now. With majority of them I do business with. So it's really growing together.
Yeah.
And really growing together in a very, transparent way. And it's like no one is perfect. We are all growing. We are all in different stages of life. We just have to find people that are ready to, run with us.
Yeah.
I came from being a people pleaser because I grew up in a very strict Catholic family. So the woman has to serve. To now I do whatever makes me happy.
I love
and
that.
people
Love that.
can stay on board with me and join the team.
Yeah.
Or can just enjoy their life.
Yeah.
Step far away from me.
They can fuck off.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
No, they can just do whatever. Just their support. Quarantine them 1.5 meter apart, right? For you, I think, and even in the music industry, you probably had to find someone that inspires you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. This actually relates to what we've been discussing. Whenever people ask me, so what genre do you do? As a joke, I kind of just say all of them, because I like to challenge myself and explore things that I haven't done before. To answer that question though, real quick, generally, I guess like my music aligns with alternative pop, hip hop, rap, and Latin pop, reggaeton, right? So those are the three kind of main ones. However, like if you look at my discography, I've branched out. Indie pop, some like folk stuff, some experimental shits in there, some pop rock, etc. And I think that my mentality was like, I refuse to be confined to a box. Yeah. I don't want to be this stereotype of what people expect me to be, especially in this industry. I do all of those and more.
Yeah.
I like the idea of expanding my audience and appealing to everybody.
But society likes comfort, and they like to know. That's why they like titles.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they want to put you in a box, because if they cannot define you, it's hard to understand you and control you.
And control you.
Right?
Yeah.
So do whatever you want.
Yeah. I'm a free spirit, bitch.
Yes. Why not? Yeah, very free
didn't say
spirit.
that, yeah. Sure, it's fine, whatever.
Well, every time that I want to do something that I haven't done before, I always think, what is the worst can happen? Am I gonna die? Possibly. I hope no. So I'm like, okay.
No, this is some freak accident. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
And sometimes, what the worst thing can happen is important. It's like people are gonna make fun of me, and then what? I mean,
yeah. Am I supposed to care what they think?
People judge us all the time.
They do.
You go back forward, you put a step forward, they judge you. Why you put the step forward? You stay, you go on the right, they judge you. Left, they judge you. You stay still.
Win.
You steal. Why you steal?
Yeah.
You judge
Yeah.
you.
Why aren't you doing anything?
Yeah. And I'm like, what? Just make you, do what makes you happy. And that's why I always say, with respect to others, in a certain degree of respect to others, of course, just, lead the life the way that you want to lead your life. And people that love you, people that care about you, they will jump with you. What is the things that I'm like, all right, let's try these things, or let's try this thing. What do you
like doing this, apparently, this podcast.
And why not?
It was a passion project that came about, and I'd been thinking about it for a while. So like, fuck it. Let's just give that a go.
And I think, it's doing well, right?
It is. And I get a lot of like positive feedback from people like, oh, I love watching all the little clips you put up of and I'm like, thank you. It's a lot of work. Watch the full thing. So you mentioned before in regards to modeling, right? With things like doing shoots and photographers, how important would you say like that connection is with said photographer? Do you often have people who have like a really strong vision that helps you, get the job done?
Yep.
Have you had some less
pleasant?
less pleasant experiences?
Yes, 100%. Like as in any industry, you're gonna have good experience, has less good experience. What I always try is, of course, I like to connect with people on the set.
Yeah.
Just because it makes like the environment like more pleasant to work.
Yeah.
But I was not doing that at the beginning because I was still in my shy, introverted
era
way. Yes. So I was just like going there, okay, what do we have to do? And literally like the photographer said, you move like, just move your arm there. And sometimes there is the director of the shooting, they usually have more like a mood board in mind.
Oh.
So it really depends how big or small is the photo shooting.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like in a one-on-one photo shooting, definitely like I always trying to really build like some connection just because it's also more a vulnerable space. That's why I always say for people they don't have a strong personality or they feel like, oh, I don't really feel comfortable, I always invite them to bring someone along.
Oh, really?
Could be a friend, could be your boyfriend,
More
could be
support.
your mom, could be your cat, literally anyone, right?
Yeah.
But just bring someone that make you feel like you're not alone in an environment that it could be like it's vulnerable. Sometimes I never done any lingerie or bikini shooting, but there are some girls that feel comfortable to do that. But if you're in lingerie and you are shooting with a male photographer, there could be some,
there is
uncomfortable, environment.
There is a power dynamic to
Yes.
consider. And so you do have to assess your level of comfort.
Yeah.
And like you said, a great solution to that is to bring someone with you.
Or sometimes you just have to ask to the photographer, hey, do you mind if I bring someone? Because especially for independent jobs, if the photographer say, oh, no, actually it's going to be just like a private shooting, that's for me is a red flag.
Yeah.
Because this photographer doesn't want to have anyone on set. I'm like, probably not. I don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
So it's more like I'm trying to understand and to read the person that you're with. And if someone make you feel uncomfortable, I don't know for men, but females have that sense of like, am I feel comfortable here?
Oh, no,
or I feel like
100%. Yeah. Because like women clearly have a lot to consider on the daily in regards to things like their safety and stuff. Whereas men get complacent because they don't have to worry about that usually. So I know that with my own experiences with modeling, like I've done freelance modeling and stuff in the past, it wasn't nearly as much of a factor for me, whereas I would fully expect it to be for you. And I think some people might be like afraid of confrontation or afraid of asking. At the very least, just give it a go. Just ask, because you'd rather be safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you have in the situation that you not feel comfortable, just say, hey, I don't feel this is going to work.
Yeah.
We had, let's, just wrap up or something.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to and you have to do it in a very, always like delicate and respectful way. Because it happened only once to me that it was a very, uncomfortable situation that the photographer was like
Did he
very
get aggressive?
No, but it was very sleazy. And so I had to find a way in a very, kind way.
Like a polite way to
say,
exit the situation.
Exactly. But this one comes with experience, comes with the self-confidence, and comes with you are fucking responsible yourself.
Yeah.
And doesn't matter if you throw, the $500 value of the photo shooting.
Yeah.
It's better to throw the $500 in the bin than going for 2 years to the psychologist because you had something that you didn't want to do. So, and, I'm a big supporter in the mental health and definitely help from, healer coaches and psychologists, like big time. But at the same time, it's really, safety. And, as you said before.
No man is worth your safety.
No.
No man is worth sacrificing your safety for.
And there's going to be always opportunities. It's like we are in amazing, especially like Australia. We are in La La Land. You can do whatever you want at any age. Because I met Mrs. World. But anyhow, she's 65.
Oh, wow.
And she's gorgeous. She's a beautiful woman.
Wow.
So, and she's impeccable. And, she's 65 and she's still rocking the crown as she's, as she
should.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But people, they are like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know, why they should choose me. I'm like, well, first of all.
Give them a reason to.
Yes. Be nice. Be bubbly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't be a piece of shit.
Don't be a diva.
Yeah, don't be a diva.
That's like what I'm coming across so many times. And like, it's not definitely like the target that is for my training. Like I don't want to have diva people, men or, female.
Or women,
doesn't matter. It's just like I want to have people that are willing to put themselves in a growing environment and challenge themselves
to learn
and push where they want to push in life.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be a model, it's okay. Just find your way. Do you like makeup? Maybe become a makeup artist.
Yeah.
Launch your makeup line. Do something,
I love that. It's all about the opportunities and taking them when they are presented to you.
Yes. Like being on this podcast with
you. Exactly. One last question before we finish up. What does modeling mean to you?
A lot of self-discovery and personal growth. Because through modeling, I start to see my value. I start to boost my confidence. And I start also to embrace some challenges. Like for my Miss Grand preparation, I was out of refined sugar for 6 weeks and alcohol. And for someone that I was eating sugar every freaking day because it's my comfort food.
Yeah.
It was like amazing, the commitment and the focus that I was able to keep.
Yeah.
And funny enough, like they always say, people will do more to avoid pain than gain pleasure. And my idea of doing a catwalk in bikini in front of like too many strangers, it was definitely the one that kept me on track. And say, I can eat chocolate every other time. It's just not for for these weeks.
Yeah.
And then I started to realize that actually I don't need sugar in life. And they were just like, that's interesting because, you discover other things of yourself.
Yeah.
And modeling gave me like the opportunity also to discover what a 9-to-5 job is. So it's more like a flexible.
I love that. I love the flexibility of that kind of stuff. I can't do fucking 9-to-5 bullshit.
No. Behind the desk, oh please not.
I'm so bad with authority too.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other story. Anyway.
But it's also, it's like it gave me the opportunity of start to become an entrepreneur because a model is pretty much like a personal brand and a personal business.
You are the product.
Yes. And knowing how how to be protective of your product and also knowing how to sell yourself, just, putting yourself in a position where you have opportunities coming to you and not you constantly chasing for opportunities.
Yes. That's so good. Oh my God. Wow. That's brilliant. Thank you for joining us,
Absolutely.
Cristina.
My pleasure.
It's been so nice catching up after all this time.
I know.
Yeah.
We should do this more often, especially now that we know that we're neighbors.
Literally, we didn't even realize we've been neighbors for the past year.
Yeah. Literally. 30 numbers away on the same street.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for being here, Cristina. I've loved having you. And
so much.
I think that concludes our episode on modeling. So this has been Sabotage. Yes. Cool. Gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You got it now.